Hello, Ohana. Still Dr. Nick here. And I want to dive a little bit more into sovereignty right now in this longer kind of post video. I came across this last year when I was building my brand book, and divine sovereignty is one of our 3 pillars for Ohana Sage. And then today I actually listened to a podcast by Tim Ferris and Naval, and I think his name is Andre Summer, but it just came out January 20th, I think, around there, 2025. And it's looking at childhood sovereignty, or sovereignty with children. And being able to recognize raising a sovereign child is very different. I've been taught patterning is following rules, abiding by them, structure, the parent knows best, teaching. And in that way, it makes sense as the society that I'm currently in. When we have this kind of patterning, when we have this kind of listening, it's easier to control in a way. It's easier to modulate. It's easier if a crisis happens to point everyone in one direction. It's easier inside a city to move people in a certain way. Like if you have everyone doing whatever they want on the road, it's hard to have the rules of the road. And they're just rules. And stronger rules are laws. And then for myself as a parent, one of our strongest laws, so to speak, is we don't run around traffic, because that could be instant death. And we don't want that. Or going over the rail of a balcony, instant death. And then looking at going backwards from that, noticing we have very strong rules around teeth brushing, around screen time, around food, around bedtime. And then noticing, oh, what do we actually want? How can I create the environment where my son is actually awakening to his own inner sage, and he's learning his own set of values, his own set of rules, his own guiding principles? Because most of the time, in the current way that I learned, is that I had to follow very strict guidelines, containers, rules, and then I got to university, and then suddenly so many things opened up, whether it's alcohol, whether it's sleeping, whether it's food, whether it's money. And then when I graduate, it's like, okay, now you're supposed to get married and have a kid, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I go from this not sure how to relate with females to having to create relationships in that way. And how do I start creating the container where he feels safe to become himself? And then that steps into working with the Ohana breath and the clients. And how do I create the container so people can see, oh, the prisons that I'm in, when I finally notice the prison that I'm in is created by the containers that I've set for myself, the rules that I've internalized and now judge myself. And that also means I can set myself free. And that also means that I have to first accept that I was imprisoning myself, and to forgive the warden as well. And that you're going to keep noticing other layers that have been prisons. And it's such a mind fuck of unlearning, and then realizing that you're sovereign even from the versions of yourself that you were before. And so sovereignty, divine sovereignty, and realizing that we're an infinite being coming into this human body, which actually is a container, that inside this container we may not have the sovereignty of full freedom of shifting into energy and matter and everything else like that. And that's part of the beauty of having this experience of life. And so that's part of it as well, why I do what I do and create the container so deliberately, whether it's for Ohana breath, that 2-hour experience, or whether it's for the soul immersions that are going to be coming out now soon, the 5-month experience, is because within that container, then you can discover your sovereignty and rediscover it with the other values of safety and wonder. And so looking forward to diving in with this more with you. And there's so many places to explore. Come to our next breath in January. It's going to be about values, looking at things differently. Not the values you think you know, but a reflection of what life is. And then we're going to dive into sovereignty. And then we're going to dive into commitment. And I'm going to share more about that later. Ciao for now.